I'm life and business coach Samantha Sifring, and this is the Online Business Building Mamas podcast, where you learn how to build a wildly successful business from home while raising kids. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. So I am sick right now. I think my voice sounds better than I thought it would right now, but if things go weird, probably my podcast editor will just take out any terrible sick noises, but I wanted to give that disclaimer in case you hear it in my voice or just my voice is like a little softer than normal. But I really wanted to pop on here and record this episode for you because it's something that I've been thinking about a lot and something that I really just wanted to get out there and share with all of you. So I feel like there's this narrative that like things that are worth doing are really hard or are really uncomfortable, or making money has to be really hard, or to grow you have to be like really uncomfortable and feel really terrible. And I even think like I have thought this so much. Like I have thought like if I feel like I want to throw up, then like I'm on the right track, which I don't necessarily think that that's totally false, but I want to give you more nuance around this, and I want to give you other ways to think about this because I think that this idea that things have to be super uncomfortable and have to make us feel terrible for it to be right is actually not that useful for us all of the time. And so I want to give you another way that has really served me to determine, is something right for me? Like in my business, is this next step right for me? And this has kind of been the gauge that I have used, and it's something that I don't think I've ever taught on the podcast before. And definitely not this explicitly, so I'm excited to bring it to all of you. And let's get into it. So I'm going to kick off with this. I get this question a lot, and I think that now I have finally figured out like my best answer to it. Probably if you listen to the entire rest of the podcast or like all the calls in Mama to CEO, you might hear me talk about this a lot of different ways as I was trying to figure out and like get clarity on like what is my gauge for this? And it is, how do you determine fear versus intuition? So how do you know when like the fearful feeling that you might feel is like an intuitive sign that you should not do something, or is just like the discomfort of the unknown, like the fear of the unknown, because as humans, we are wired to be fearful of the unknown. And so anytime that we feel fear, it's not always a sign that we shouldn't do something, but it's also not always a sign that we should. So here's how I distinguish between the two. This is like really getting into my body, like just like thinking about how I am feeling physically inside my body, thinking about whatever the thing is, and noticing, does this feel heavy to me or light to me? And then from there, I get curious about why, and I just kind of explore like what does feel heavy about it? Is it that I'm thinking something about it that's maybe not true? Or is it maybe because I'm doing something that truly doesn't feel right to me? And for me, when something feels heavy, it's because it feels like a should. It feels like what I think somebody else wants me to be doing, or like what somebody else thinks is the right way, but doesn't maybe match up with what I think is the right way. And I really think for all of us, the best way to grow our business is balancing wise counsel that we've decided to listen to, mentors that we've decided to listen to. So balancing their opinions and best practices with how it feels to us and how it matches up to our values and our beliefs and who we are. And you really have to balance the two and sometimes be willing to kind of wrestle with the two. Like if they feel like they don't match, wrestling with them and figuring out where you want to land. And I think like that's something personally as a coach that I always say, like my opinions are the least valuable coaching that you'll receive from me. Like that's just my thoughts on things. And the best coaching you'll receive from me is the coaching that takes you deeper with yourself. The coaching that points you like even more in touch with you. So I want you to just really be looking out for that and aware of that. I think when we're in this story that growth has to feel terrible, that the path to success has to feel terrible, that it has to be so hard, that it has to be a grind and all of the things, I think that it has us doing some unhelpful mental patterns that lead us into unhelpful ways of spending our time. So here's what I mean by that. When we think that we have to feel terrible, we're focusing on problems. We're focusing on what's not working. We're focusing on like digging and finding and uncovering problems. Like there has to be a problem here, so I have to find out what it is. It has us focused on shoulds. Like this is what I should be doing, which feels so heavy. It might have you feeling a lot of shame and discouragement and maybe like hopelessness and despair. And probably crying a lot, which I just want you to all know, like your business can be fun. You can enjoy your business. You can love your business. It can feel so good to you. Not to say that there aren't moments that it is hard, right? Sometimes that happens. But I also want you to know that like if it's feeling like this terrible slog, we should coach on that. We should really look at that and figure out why and help you find the fun and the ease and the lightness in your business. So here's the other side. Here's the flip side that I want to offer to all of you. This is available to all of you. You can focus on what is working in your business. You can focus on what feels really good to you. You can focus on what is easy. It's okay for it to be easy. I was just coaching a client the other day. She was like, it just feels too easy. And I was like, why too easy? Like, what if this is just how it is? What if that means it's a sign that it's working? Like, what if it feeling easy is like the sign that you're on the right track? You can focus on possibility and belief and feeling like expanded. Like this is something that I want for all of my clients. Like I want you to come to my events, come to coaching with me, come to my programs, and inside of them, feel possibility and belief, like that spark, that fire inside of you. Feel expanded, like feeling like your mind is expanded to more things and more possibilities. Like that's how I want you to feel. I want you to feel like you're blooming, not wilting. So if you feel wilting instead of blooming, get curious about it. Think about what might I be believing and taking on that is not me, that I can let go of and move towards what is working. I think what is working in our business is the best thing for us to be focused on, because here's what I want you to know. I have a multi-million-dollar business and there is stuff that doesn't work. There is always going to be things that don't work in your business. Always. And when you give all of your time and attention to those things, it's almost like It's like, I'm sure you can all relate to this, feeling like, how come the laundry and dishes are like never done? Like, I've seen this meme that is like, trying to keep your house clean when there's kids in it is like trying to brush your teeth when you're eating Oreos. It's like such a vivid example. And I feel like it's the same in our business, right? Like, I think a lot of us think that there is this perfection that we're going to reach where there's no problems or no things that don't work. There's always going to be things that don't work. Always. And I think the best approach that feels so much better is to just identify what are the things that are working and focus on growing those. Focus on expanding those. Focus on how you feel when you observe what's working. And just leaning into what is working instead of trying to clean up every little crumb of something that is not working. Because there's always going to be more crumbs. All of us who are moms know this. Like, there's always going to be more crumbs, and trying to eradicate every crumb is just a recipe for burnout and exhaustion and feeling terrible, both as a mom with cleanliness of like your house and everything, and in your business. So I want you to focus on growing what is good, what is working, what feels light. This is going to feel so much better to you. And I think because we've been told that it has to feel terrible, for a lot of us, our body is giving us that signal of like, something needs to shift here. And we think that it's a problem with us instead of, hey, something needs to shift here and I need to listen to myself. I need to get some help identifying what it is. So that's the thought for you today. I want you to really explore this concept. I want you to lean into what's working. I want you to explore that maybe there's not a problem with you or your business. And maybe you just need to lean harder into what is working, what feels light, what makes you feel full of possibility and belief, and grow all of those things. All right. I hope you have an amazing, amazing rest of your week. And I will talk to you all again back here next week, and hopefully with a full powered voice. If you like this podcast, I want to invite you to coach with me over in my program, Mama to CEO. There's you, and there's the consistent income you want to make in your business. And I help you remove everything standing in between. It's lifetime access for mastering your marketing, sales, time, and everything else you need to have the business and life you really want. Whether it's making your first 1,000 or 100,000, I can help you do it. To join, go to mamatoceo.com, mamatoceo.com.